Well, hello and welcome. We are live for those who are jumping in. And I know that this is not our normal time slot. I know that it is Thursday and it is 12 o'clock. It's not the normal time, but if you are here, I see Anthony is here. Please do me the favor of letting me know that you can see and hear me, because my PTSD about technology failures is like I have this anxiety until somebody tells me that it's working. I'm going to worry about whether or not it is working. And then he says it's not Wednesday. I know it's Thursday. This is so strange. But the reason that we are doing this here on Thursday is because this was the time that Jaryd and I could both get on the computer, and it worked out for us because Jaryd is on the other side of the world. And so my 10 o'clock time slot for Jaryd was at like 3 or 4 in the morning, which is not doable at all.
Non-functionable.
Not functional. Well, Tortoise Cashflow is a regular here on the channel. He also has his own YouTube channel, Jaryd, and he's also growing his own sites. And
cool.
Yeah, he has the honor of getting to his first $1,000 month. So he has a site that he earned $1,000 a month, which is a huge deal, especially from someone starting from scratch and learning it on his own. And so anytime I get a chance to talk about him and what he's doing, and I can't stop myself. I think it's so great.
It's awesome. It's a game changer when you hit, like, even if you hit like a couple of $100 a month, you're like, okay, this thing actually works. Like, let's just lean into it more. So congrats, man. That's really cool.
And then there is Chris. You'd think it was early and I hadn't had my coffee, but I've done that. That's Niche Safari Chris, whose name is Chris. And he's also a good friend of mine who is building sites. And I recently have been talking to him about your podcast a lot. And so I'm excited that he is here. There is Adrian. I hope so too, because otherwise I'm going to have to be carrying this thing. Adrian, so far, all you have missed is me just shooting the breeze and waiting to see if YouTube sends out the notifications to see if anybody rolls in and catches us in this. It's like a ninja stream. Like I told people we were going to be here, but it's still just not our usual time slot. So now that we've had a chance to do that and I've run out of waffling, Jaryd, before we go down the road of my list of stuff I want to talk about, will you just do us the favor of doing a quick, brief introduction, like the 1-minute introduction of who you are and what you are about, and then let's have our chat.
Cool. Hey, I'm Jaryd. I'm from Buying Online Businesses. I teach people to buy online businesses, so buy website businesses that are past that 90% failure rate. And that's it. There's not much else to add. I mean, we'll probably get into more, but the main thing we do is teach people to do the due diligence so they don't buy a lemon. And once people have bought sites, I can help them grow their business in my membership, or if they want to scale it really quickly and put a lot more effort into it, they can join my mastermind. But that's that's under a minute, I think, which is pretty cool.
That is under a minute. But I think what you forgot to mention is that you not only do you run this business, but you also, as I understand it, have a portfolio of business or businesses. I honestly don't know how big the portfolio is of your own. So you say, I run this business where I help people, but you also do it yourself. So it's not just you teach it, you actually do this thing and teach it.
Correct. Yeah. So I started doing it myself first. And I bought one and I bought another and I bought another. So I had 3 businesses, and people were like, dude, what do you mean you have a business and you can travel and like it makes you money and you don't have to work, run down hostel or, on the ski hills or whatever it is. So, then I just kept buying them and sold some, let some just go by the wayside, and kept the good ones and kept them rolling. So yeah, I've got a few businesses still, and looking to buy more as always if there's good ones that come up. But yeah, it's really important, I think, to practice what you preach, and more so just continually do it, because keeping your finger on the pulse is that's what makes you better at what you do.
So do you talk about what businesses you have in your portfolio right now? Like the kind, as far as like content sites, or if you have drop shipping, like what is in your portfolio right now?
Yeah. So I have an e-commerce business. I have 2 content sites, and I have 1 membership site or membership business, which is the one that I buying online businesses.
Oh, so
So
it's
I've got
not
four.
like it's not an additional one. It's just the one that we know about already.
Yeah. Yep.
So as far as content sites, then, because I think a lot of people who follow this channel are interested in building content sites, what do you look for? Like, what are the things that really stand out to you as being a content site that you would be interested in buying?
You know those ones that are like just, people just build just to sell and they're affiliate sites and they're just 100% Amazon. They're the perfect ones.
Why is that?
I'm joking. I'm joking. They're the
I was
ones I
gonna
say.
do tell. I really am interested in hearing about why does you think those are the ones? Because I was like, maybe there's an upside. Like, and then I was thinking about what Don Wells said on your podcast the other day. I think he says it everywhere. I wrote it down. He says a good business for a fair price versus a fair business at a good price. And I'm like, all right, let's talk about this. But you're joking. All right, tell me then.
I am joking. And in fact, that's what I say a lot as well, because it's one of Warren Buffett's best investing quotes. And yeah, Dom, it's so good that I really enjoyed speaking to Dom, because I feel that we're very parallel in our thinking towards business. And to answer your question, sorry, is definitely not those affiliate churn and burn sites that people just build to sell that have no EAT, which is expertise, authority, and trust, which Google uses as a factor to rank sites. And it depends on what sort of your experience is, if like what value you can add to a site. Personally, I do like just the info sites. It's very similar to you. Is I like the info sites because it's not so much like I'm just trying to sell and make money from the visitor as soon as they get to the website. And I really think about like everything in the long term. And I think about a long-term buyer's journey and their experience. And if I can turn an info site into, info with a little bit of affiliate that is actually beneficial, but not ramming it down their throat. It's just like it's like, hey, if you want that as well, like that's helped me achieve this or helped us do this, or this is a product that a lot of people in our space use. You can check it out, type thing. Not, I'm going to do a review of the top 10 best products for everything in the niche, and that's it. So that's kind of what I like to see. I mean, some of my clients like the affiliate version and go, cool, I can, build out some good info content around it and go the opposite way. What I look for is, things that don't have too much risk in terms of like links, black hat, SEO type work done, like bad links, that is BBNs, and too much black hat, too much. The main thing that I don't like is single source dependency on anything. Single source dependency on revenue or single source dependency on traffic. And to me, it's just, it's funny, but every single person in the content site space is just like, well, yeah, Google, I'll just get all my traffic from Google. And it's just normal. And then we scream or freak out when a change happens, especially if we haven't set our site up properly. And it's just like, people make it normality. It's like when people have like a sore shoulder or a bung leg, and they're just like, well, it's just normal. I just live like this. Like, go away and, get that thing sorted. Like, so it doesn't, you can still walk when you're bloody 70 years old. Like, I just don't like to live with things that can be dangerous or risky or is going to affect me in the long term. And I don't like it as a normality for me. So those single source dependency things are something that I really share with my clients, that like, hey, if you're going to buy this, you have to carry this risk until you remove it. And I don't look at buying a business with how much opportunity it has. And I think 90% of investors go, oh, look at the opportunity in this investment, or how much ROI can I make? I don't like to look at the opportunity, because I think opportunity is abundant, and you can have opportunity with something that's non-risky as well. So I like to determine a good business based off the amount of risk it has. And my thing that I like to say to people is like, our goal isn't to prove that a business is a good business and we need to buy it. We shouldn't prove that it's a good business. Our goal should be that we need to prove the business is bad. If we can't prove the business is a bad investment, then we must buy.
So, oh gosh, I hate it when this happens. I had like this question queued up. Oh, that's what it was. So if you spend much time on YouTube or on podcasts in the flipping or buying and selling space, there's a lot of talk about, I'm putting up my air quotes, quick wins. And everybody's got, this sites where they can do something and have some quick wins. And then their on page is a quick win. And then their ads or their monetization strategy is a quick win. But being in this space, I'm sorry, but it just doesn't seem like there are that many quick wins, like really that are effective, that honestly, like you buy the thing, you start the thing, and then do the one thing, and then you got a 6-figure site. Do you think that either one, this concept of quick wins was kind of overblown to make people look good on YouTube, or do you think that it's just people have gotten more savvy now to how to make those quick wins happen because of plugins and because of advertising? I mean, a lot of people know now that Mediavine is a thing, whereas people didn't know before. I mean, is this just the age of quick wins? Is it blown by? Sort of like you missed the Bitcoin at 10 and like, oh well.
What another subject in itself, right? But that's a great question. It really is, Emilia. I believe that the quick wins have come from basically feedback from the market. And what I mean is, like, when we put a YouTube video out or put any piece of content out with a title or whatever it is, like those ones that say quick wins actually do quite well, because that's what people want. We want the, like, give me the weight loss pill so I can lose weight.
The template, the free template, like the plug and play business in a box. You remember the business in a box things where they have the funnel and you just send traffic through it with solo ads?
Well, yeah, just sign up to ClickFunnels and we'll build all your funnels for you and you'll make $1 million. Like, yes. Yeah, right. Cool. That's yeah. But that's what that's what a lot of people sell is those quick wins, because that's what people want. And it's a good way to get people's attention. It is, to be honest. It's a good way to get people's attention, then go, hey, look, I want to bring you in because I know you want something to be, a quick win. I want you want to achieve a result really, really fast. Now, you can do this, but like buy into at least my philosophy and strategy that's like a long term, and you can have these little things, little wins along the way. And to answer the other part of your question of like, can you still make quick wins? Like, I think you can to a certain extent, but what's the payoff? Like, let me give you an example. If you buy a site that has an email list that hasn't been monetized, and you go, cool, hasn't been monetized, what a quick win. I'm just going to buy the site, set up some email marketing and an email marketing campaign, launch it to the list. And a lot of people are like, whoa, I haven't heard from you in 2 years. Who are you? Unsubscribe. And that's detriment to the business. So trying to like pull money out really, really quick can be bad for the business. Instead, why don't you nurture that list over, a good few months, 6 months even, and then say, hey, like this thing, ask them what they want and then just give them what they want. And that's not a quick win, but you've harnessed something that is you've turned something that wasn't an asset into an asset. And that's I wouldn't say it's a quick win, but I'd say it's a big win.
I'm checking over here in the chat, which is pretty quiet, and that's okay because there's only a handful of people here, which makes it easy for you to get a question in if you're in the chat. Chris says, so if you've got a single source dependent site, what would you do immediately to pivot to other sources?
Chris, just check out some quick wins, mate. Nah, I'd what I would do is this for me to answer or is this for you to answer?
I don't know. I mean, I'll let you go. I'll let you do your answer and then I'll use your answer to build mine.
Oh, perfect. Okay, cool. So single source dependent site, what I do immediately, what I tell people that are looking at buying a site that has single source dependency is I say, look, you've got a certain window to remove or at least reduce that risk? And are you willing to carry that risk over that particular time frame that it may take you to reduce or minimize it? Now, that doesn't answer your question. To answer your question, it would be, what would I do immediately to pivot to other sources? Is I wouldn't stop one thing. I would still lean into what's working, but I would look at how you can add different, like, let's just for ease of conversation and understanding, let's just say you do have a site that's very single source dependent on Google. I would say, depending on your niche, you'd need to look at where your niche is hanging out and start repurposing your content. I wouldn't start creating new content just for, because it's going to put a lot more work on your plate. But I'd start repurposing content on one different medium to see if you can get traffic from there, and do it for a good period of time, right? Do it for 6 months to a year and see if it's going to work. And if it doesn't work so well, test another one and then sort of compare the two. Now, I know this, like we said, this isn't a quick win. It's going to take a decent amount of time frame. But if you can get a site that's like 100% reliant on Google traffic to have 20 to 30% traffic come from, say, Pinterest, great. Especially for a content site, Pinterest is really, really good. And social media can be hard depending on your niche as well, because people, their attention span's really, really fast. But we've seen Pinterest has helped a lot. And, some people are, using Reddit to get traffic. And there's so many different ways you can do that. I'd really be looking at a few things. Where is your niche hanging out? Where are those people hanging out? And also, one thing that's really important is, like, what type of content do they like to consume? Like, do they like images? Do they like reading on Reddit? Do they like short videos on Instagram? Or do they like short videos on YouTube? How do they like consuming their content is an important thing as well. Because for me, I'm a podcaster, but I don't listen to podcasts. Like, I very rarely listen to podcasts, and I like to consume YouTube videos. Like, I'm a different type of person in my space. So if you wanted to really get my attention, you'd probably have to, get me on YouTube. And I don't use Pinterest, but that's what I would suggest, Chris, is like, I wouldn't use the word pivot. I'd use the word supplement as well.
When I saw this question, the first thing, I was thinking while you're speaking, I was like, man, this is a hard question to answer, because it presumes that I maybe know what the single source dependency is, right? Before I can go and say, this is a great thing to do for the pivot or for the supplement. It's because I don't know what the single source is, because, that maybe that site is dependent upon, organic search from Google. And then you say, okay, well, then from there you could go here. And if it was focused on maybe Facebook traffic or social media, and then you say, oh, well, I would do this. But I think if you take it back to the point when you're making the decision about whether or not to buy a single source dependent site, I'd say that analysis that you did should be done before you buy that site. Right. So you say, I'm looking at the site and I see that it gets all of its traffic from Pinterest. And so developing a plan before you give them your money, like, what am I going to do with it? At that point, you say, okay, what you said, oh, I better make sure that the people are someplace, where are they? And then you say, do I have the skills and the abilities to serve that particular audience? Because for me, I'm not a Pinterest expert. So if my audience is hanging out on Pinterest and the site that I'm looking at buying is focused on organic traffic from Google, and I think, okay, the pivot is to go to Pinterest, that's not a good choice for me, because I don't know how to do that. Not very well. Yeah. So it's like, if you do that analysis before you pull the trigger on buying it, I think that's the time to do it. Because if you have this in your lap, like, maybe I have created a single source dependent site. So now I have one. Maybe I wouldn't have bought it, but I have it because I'm the monster that created it, right? Now I either have to hire that or I need to learn it to be able to make that happen following the strategy that you mentioned.
I like that you said hire it, because you I've got people that like come to me like, and this is a different business model altogether. Hey Jaryd, I want to buy an e-commerce business. They go away, do due diligence. I'm like, cool. Like, and they go to, and they're spending like, it's the business maybe spending $5,000 to $20,000 a month on ads alone. And I go, how much, experience do you have in digital marketing? They got none. And I say, well, that's a huge risk, right? So you need to work out, do you know somebody who you're confident they can achieve that same result or better? It's the same with a content site, is that if you have a site that's like single source dependent on Google, and you can see clearly that it's like a mum blog or like a baby, in the baby space, or it's in the cooking recipes or whatever it is. Clearly, people on Pinterest love that content, and that it sends a lot of. It'll probably most likely send a lot of traffic because other sites are doing it, and that, but you don't know much about Pinterest. Then find out, get some quotes from people that can do the Pinterest, and you can do your due diligence on them. Look at their case studies as well, and you do due diligence on the business you're looking at buying and on the growth strategies as well, like you said. And I also want to say, Chris, that we're talking about, like you alluded to as well, Emilia, is it's very hard to answer this question because we don't know what type of business this is. So it is business dependent. But for a content site, we're talking about content, I'd strongly suggest really leaning into email as well. So it's another source of traffic. I wouldn't say it's another source of like completely different source of traffic, but at least capturing that traffic and bringing them into your community, so you don't need to like solely rely on just putting out new content to get new people in, and harness that and bring those people on your email list back to your site, because those people come back to your site, that can be more ad revenue and more affiliate revenue.
The reason I'm smiling is because there's a young man who is in the chat right now. That's Jasper, who actually had a gigantic site. His first site went huge and then got slaughtered at the Christmas update. And I talked with him a couple weeks ago, and that was exactly what we talked about. It's just like, oh, I should have done something about email marketing. And actually, Jasper would be a really cool person for you to talk to. He's super young in this game, but he's like really motivated. He's going to make it. Jasper, if you're here, I believe it. You're going to make it, man.
That's what it takes, mate. If you got motivation, good on you. Like you'll get there.
Oh, and Jasper had an update, which I apparently have missed. So Jasper, you'll have to tell me if you're in the chat. Was the update, was it good? Like, is it better? Have you figured out something to try to resurrect that site? Because we're basically all just waiting for the update that you can tell us that it survived.
We can't go on without it.
I can't. I have to know. I also wanted to say hi to Karl Broadbent, and Sabina, whose mom Van Up, and Vivek. All these folks are working on building businesses of their own, and I imagine that's why they are here, but they're regulars around the channel, and I enjoy giving them a hard time because that is what is fun. So I wanted to ask you what you thought about this whole third-party cookie thing, the sunset on the cookie, and whether or not in the buying online businesses world, one, is it like, super drama, or is it a situation where people are like, the ad networks still figure out money is money and that advertising dollar has to be spent somewhere? And is it preventing people from maybe investing in businesses because they're waiting to see how this plays out at all?
That's a great question. It really is. In the buying a site space or buying a business space, it's not really a huge. I don't see it being a huge thing that people are like, oh my God, like I've just got to hold my cash until we work out what's happening. There's people buying content sites left, right, and center, and there's not that much issue with it. And your second sort of part of the question is like, is people not too worried about it because of the, it's ad spend needs to happen. Like my opinion is that as well. This is why I haven't done too much. Like, honestly, I'm not the best to answer this question because I don't know too well.
Well,
but the reason
maybe not as an expert in
answered it.
that, but I'm going to interrupt you because like the thing is, I'm wondering is it such like this sort of low level topic that people are buying businesses without even understanding that this might even be a thing? Like, could it be like running so like under the level? It's just, they don't even necessarily know. Will they be surprised? And like, whenever this rolls out, that it could impact their earnings? Is that possible?
It's possible. Of course it's
Mhm.
possible. I think that, the reason I haven't read into it too much myself personally, and I have ad sites, is because if Google are making these changes and their main business model is ad revenue, I'm very, very, very confident that they're not going to stuff that up. And most likely make it better.
Mm.
And I dare say that this cookie change thing isn't, it's probably killing two birds with one stone, right? It's like what I would call a risk minimization strategy cloaked as a growth strategy.
Mm.
Like they're probably going, all right, we can Google can have a bad rep by following people and putting ads in front of them and all this sort of stuff. Let's get rid of it. Let's get rid of it in the eye of the public, and let's work out a better way.
So the better way, like let's steal their data in a way that they have no idea about.
Of course they're going to do that. Like, and I wouldn't say steal it,
Just
because we need to take some responsibility as well. If we're using Google Chrome, I'm using Google Chrome because it's awesome. And in fact, do I want them to track me? Yes, because I want to get a 10% discount on the skateboard that I bought yesterday. Right? I didn't get the discount, God damn it. But but I don't think Google's going to stuff us up. Right? I don't think they're going to stuff up their own business model. If you think about it, it may be insignificant for some small sites in the change of ad revenue. And if it is, that's going to be humongous across the millions or billions of sites that are out there, which is going to be humongous in the profit of Google. So that's why I haven't read into it too much. And I could just be completely ignorant to it, but my alarm bells haven't rung off too much. So I'd be interested to see if I'm wrong. It's a high possibility too.
I want to pivot here. John has a question. He says, what books has Jaryd got on his desk? Jaryd, I know from our last chat that you love to read and you are constantly reading. And so now, what are you reading right now and what's on your desk?
One that I'm reading right now, and I've read it a few times. That'll be my last one. It's over here somewhere.
It's okay.
Okay. So am I going to go through them all?
I don't know. It's just whatever you want. I mean, whatever you want.
I'll go through them all very quickly. This one is my camera going to do it?
I don't know. Maybe you just put it flat forward instead of on the side. I don't know if it's going to do it.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Upside down. So the Deepak Chopra, 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. I really like this one. This is long term. This is not quick win stuff.
Okay. All right.
This is the one thing. Focus. My mentor, he makes 60 mil a year from property, and he just threw this book at me one day. He's like, Jaryd, you need to have this, because I had like all these businesses and all this stuff that I was just doing, and I wasn't really focused. He's like, you need to focus on one thing and do it well. Get a system automated till you can focus on the next thing. The Go Giver. Which is, and there's another one in this series. I think it's the Go Getter, but this is based on sales, but really good, like ethical sales. I'll leave this book to last. That one's a really, really good one. There's a fair few like The Debt Millionaire. This is about using debt to build wealth. I could go into a lot of strategies with it, but I won't. This one is one that my buddy Dave Janines wrote. Systemology. It's about creating systems to reduce errors and scale your profits in your business. And this guy, he actually have you heard of the book? I've got it on my desk over there. It's the E-Myth. Have you heard of the book, The E-Myth?
It sounds familiar. I honestly feel like we could probably have an hour's chat on each of these books on their own.
Oh yeah. It's written by Michael Gerber. He's a very, very big author, and he actually rewrote or revised the E-Myth version 2 and was asked to run his business. But he said no, he turned it down, which is a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
This is Sleep Smarter. I used to get really into my growth hacking. I love sleep. I love health. I'm huge into my health. This one is a network marketing book, and I just absolutely love this network marketing book. Not that I'm in network marketing, but it talks about the power of relationships, and it's just a really, really good story, and it's super simple to read. It's very, very thin, super. I think I read this in a day, and I'm a slow reader. This last book is one book that almost every single person that joins my membership buys, because I talk about it a fair bit. It's on emotional intelligence. And the one quote that I really like from this book is, it's in the Bible, it's in a lot of songs, but it's called the Serenity Prayer. It's grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And it can help us stop holding on to things that we're trying to control and keep us stressed. It's really, really cool. And it's called The Obstacle is the Way. And I've got a lot of this guy's books. Ryan Holiday. I've got The Daily Stoic, The Journal. And the last book that I'll tell you about is one called Your Life, Your Legacy by Roger Hamilton. And this talks about different wealth profiles and how a lot of billionaires built their wealth by linking up with other people that didn't have the same sort of profile as them, that helped them get to where they are at, like Oprah and Trump and, a bunch of like Steve Jobs and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, they're my books.
Yeah, Sabina says, "Ooh, all the books! I can feel the dollars leaving my pockets."
Yeah, no, it's crazy. You know what? I get I've got a library app, and it's a digital library, and I can get free audiobooks. So maybe you guys can do that too.
Let's see. So we answered that question. Someone else wanted to know what camera you are using, because they said it looks awesome. Oh yeah, that's John again. He's wants to know all about you. So he's got your books and he wants to know about your camera. And then he might be asking about the lamps later. I'm not sure.
Okay. So the camera is a Sony A6400 with a 60. I actually don't know what the lens is. It's like it's a 1.4 16 mil lens. I'm not too tech savvy, but I was told to buy this by one of my business partners. He's just like, dude, you need a new camera. I was like, you're definitely right. It's been a long time coming. So this is a fresh one. This is a new. Yeah, it's only
it looks really good. I'm still rolling with my super sophisticated webcam that I started with.
This is what I started with as well. Is the Logitech.
Which one? I have the C615 is where I started.
Oh yeah, mine's the same. I think mine's the C920 or something. But
oh, you have the so you're ahead of me. Yours is better than mine.
I don't know. I think they're probably the same price, but just different ages.
Oh, Chris wants to know, how did you find your mentor, and how did you get him to mentor you?
Oh yeah, good question. Which one?
I don't know.
Yeah, so I've had a few different ones. I don't have a mentor at the moment. How I like to find. So this is a great question.
The whole talk is about great questions. I literally feel like every question that we've asked today, you're like, this is awesome.
Yeah, it's really, really cool, because I just wish I had known some of these things earlier, because how you find a mentor is different in different stages of life and business. So I'll start from the start. At the start, how I found my mentors was I would go to all these free seminars, digital marketing seminars and stuff like that. And I don't suggest you do this. And they would sell you their package after the end of their talk, and you'd run to the back of the room and fill out your credit card and sign it away and sign your life away. Don't do that. That's what I did. And that's how I found my first few mentors, and a few were not great. and then a few were pretty decent. And what I like to do, like if I was to start again over, is how I'd find my mentors is look for this one thing. I'd look for this one thing that I'd want to focus on in my business or my life at a particular time and go, who is the best at that? And who do I like really like how they explain that or work in that method that fits with my morals and values, and seek them out and just buy their courses. And so you got to start low. You got to start buying, their book or their course or whatever it is, and then eventually, once you start to work your way up, then you can get into their bigger masterminds or whatever it is. So that's how I would do it if I was to find my mentors and I didn't have a network, right? Or if I didn't know people. Now it's a bit different. Now, if I still work out what do I need to focus on and what do I need to do better in my business or better in my life. And then I put that out there, to energetically put that out there and digitally put that out there. So in two different forms, to go, who is out there that is in my circle of influence or in my sphere that can help me achieve that. And I like to go by network, because if I get a bunch of recommendations from one person, and I trust those people as well, so it's very interwebbed and interconnected and based off a lot of trust, then if it ends up being pretty good, then I seek them out and just test it out and then go from there. That's how I would suggest finding your mentors, for sure.
Really quick before I have so many questions, but I really wanted to take a second to shout out Karl Robin, because I mentioned Jasper and I wanted to ask Karl if he's in the chat how his mega site is doing. Karl, what he has decided to do was build a site and reveal the domain over 12 months and then give it away at the end. So to use it as like this training tool, a teaching tool to make content about. And
Cool.
but is it, or Karl, if you're still here, the mega site isn't the one you're giving away. You're giving away another one, but I still want to know how they're both doing, because I feel like I haven't seen an update in a while on the new site. It's not a mega site, I don't think, or is it? And I'm confused. But if he's here, please update me, Karl, on just how those things are going, because I would like to know. And also, I just like using this opportunity to poke at Jaryd. It's like, hey, these are some other cool people that are doing some cool things in the content space. It's like a great networking opportunity.
Yeah. and if there's things that, you can ask that we can help,
Absolutely.
it'd be awesome.
Yeah. So one thing that happens to me here, the mega site isn't the one he's giving away. Yeah, no, after I said it, it was like, oh yeah, the mega site isn't the one he's giving away, but he's giving away another one that he started around the same time that I started mine, the 2021 site.
That's cool. To work on something for a year and give it away, that's awesome. That's pretty big.
That's huge.
Yeah.
So one of the things I feel like happened to me in the whole make money online space is I feel like I came in and I'm discovering that many of the things that I was excited about doing, like the gold rush on them, is sort of like gone by. Like, the quick wins time is like gone. And like, the Amazon affiliate sites is like gone, and so then you find yourself in a position of having knowledge this time, because when I got started, I didn't have that. What can we look ahead to? I mean, are there any trends or burgeoning markets or skills or tasks or things that we could somehow use what we know now to get ahead of the wave and maybe benefit? Like you see, okay, well, if you could have foreseen Bitcoin, right? The people who bought Bitcoin at the very beginning and held, I mean, they bought an island somewhere in the it's like, can you think of anything that is going on in our market, in the building, buying, and selling market, that would help us get ahead of potential trends or waves?
Yeah, so trends and waves is an interesting one. It's great to ride trends and waves, but at the end, if you don't know when to get off the wave, and I know this as a surfer, everyday surfer, you can just get absolutely battered and end up drowning sometimes. So to use that analogy, I think it's better to work out your investment philosophy and business philosophy on long-term growth that can suit you on many waves.
Mm.
And the waves can come and go, and you can ride them as you please, and without risk, issue, or drama. And I think it's more important to really work out who you are as a business person, and what you believe in works in terms of growth strategies. And I would say not looking at micro. Sorry, not looking. Yeah, you got the macro versus the micro. So you got the long term versus the short term, and I think looking at the long term is far better, right? If you look very far ahead, you can always see where you're going. If you look too far down, there's a chance that you could fall over.
So that seems like a really polite way to say, looking for trends and looking for the next Bitcoin is, you didn't say the word foolish, but it could potentially imply that it is foolish to look for the gold rush instead of trying to build a solid long-term business.
Well, think of it this way. How much time and energy are you going to spend focusing on something that's not going to be around forever? So why don't you build a business that is going to be around forever, no matter what trend comes and goes, and can ride those trends and waves? And I don't own Bitcoin. I bought into the FOMO of one crypto coin, and I bought it based off the value of the business, and it's done nothing. And I think it will go well over time. And I've got friends that have made hundreds of thousands of dollars and lots of money on crypto. Personally, I don't know about it, and I think it's risky myself. I won't get into crypto as a whole, because that is like a big topic, that especially that I can't speak to. But my investment philosophy doesn't fit it. So the time and money and effort I spend in that isn't going to be valuable for me, and it's actually going to take away from the fulfillment that I get out of investing.
It's a distraction.
It's a huge distraction, and there's a quick win, right? And it'll be gone. The blockchain technology will stick around, of course, but in 30 years' time, crypto may not be a thing. I wouldn't say crypto, sorry. Bitcoin may not be a thing, and there may be like a centralized bank, international bank with one crypto coin that we all use internationally. And then there's people that spend all their time and money trying to find out when the crypto was going to spike, and they wasted that. They blew it when they could have just worked out how to have a good, solid investment strategy long term that prevented them from having less stress. And I just think too many people are too stressed about trying to find the right thing or the tactic or the quick win that is going to get them to the next level. I think, when you have a lot of money come in, you blow it really, really quick if you don't have a good strategy of what to do with that money. And you can win. And I've had this happen to me. I've made a bunch of money really, really quickly, and I spent it and on things that weren't important or valuable. And I think it's better to make a little bit of money incrementally over a long period of time and have a less stress. Like when I made a lot of money really, really quickly, I had a team. I had all these stupid things going on. Like, not that I don't have a team now, but I had just people working in my house, selling on the phone. Like, just what am I doing? And it was fun time to a certain extent, but I think just I wouldn't be looking at trends and trying to like ride them. Until, which is a really important word, until you understand your long-term game. And then if those waves and you can ride them fit into your long-term plan, take advantage of them, of course, but they're not the thing. The waves are not the thing. The one thing that's going to keep you alive in 30 years, because that's going to crash and burn, and you got to have to find how to find the next one.
Well, I think in answering that question, you came upon something I think a lot of people don't necessarily think of when they think of content sites or trying to make money online, is they don't necessarily think of their efforts as starting, I'm putting up my air quotes, a business. They think of it as, a side hustle or something interesting to do, or I am absolutely guilty of this too. I don't necessarily equate. I mean, I come from traditional business, right? A traditional professional life before coming online. And so that to me, was a business. It had, people and like a place, and then money, like changing hands, and then a service. Versus like online, my content site is me and a computer, and that property is like in a cloud. Like it might as well be imaginary, right? And so, like to call that, to come to the realization that this is a business, or to think of it as a business, or to think of myself as a business owner. I don't know that everybody starts there, and I don't know that everybody gets there. It's hard to think of that as a business when you come from what I would think of as business, because it doesn't feel like a business. Maybe yet is the right word, but it doesn't feel like a business yet.
Yeah, I agree. I think it depends on how you look at it and what you make it to. Like how you look at things is like looking where you're going is like I said before, is really, really important. So if people are like, oh, I just want to start, and if we're talking about like trying to make this a thing, like that it's going to support us, looking at it from the lens of I'm just going to start this and see how I go as a side hustle is wrong. It's definitely wrong and silly, in my opinion. Now, there's not, I shouldn't say wrong, because there's really no right or wrong. But if your goal is to have a digital business or a content site that is your main income stream, and you no longer need to work, looking at it as a side hustle, don't do it. I'd be looking at it as like, this is the thing that needs to work more than anything. It's really important. And I don't think I would have, like, if I didn't have the visionary type wealth profile, I would have just said, oh yeah, I'll just try this thing on the side whilst I'm plumbing, right? My goal wasn't like, oh, let's just see if I can make a bit of money whilst I'm plumbing on the side. And if it works out that I don't have to plumb over time, great. No, that wasn't my goal. My goal was like, dude, plumbing is horrendous. Like, I'm going to, I don't want to be the old guy with white hair walking around carrying a bucket of concrete with a cigarette hanging out my mouth and just scabby all over myself because I've just butchered and battered my body. Like I was looking at those guys like, I need to get out. But
you could see that as like, that was your path, right? You could like almost just see it.
Yeah. But like, I think, was it Chris? When you start making a couple $100, you're like, okay, it works. You've got that, like you've got the taste. It's going to happen. All you need to do is stop what's not working, double down on what is working, and double the size of the business and go bigger and bigger and bigger. And I think looking at it from the lens of like, if you want it to be your main thing and you don't want to have to do your current job, which was what I wanted, that you got to look at it like that. But if you look at it as like, I'll just test it out and see what happens, like you're not giving it the justice that it deserves, I believe.
I'm looking at Jasper's comment right now. He says, it's hard to think of a site as a business when it's not moving. Ooh. That's a fair point. And as the months pass by and your site gains traction, it's much easier to see it as an actual business. But for many beginners, or even people who aren't beginners who are starting a new site, you can pour money and time and heart and tears, blood into something and have it do nothing just for months. I mean, how do you deal with that?
How do you deal with that? It's the same thing as what I was just saying. Is like, are you looking at the ground and going, well, how come this isn't moving? or you're looking ahead going, all this work that I'm doing right now is going to get this business to where I want to go. So we just take things from other parts of life of like, all right, I want to either gain weight or lose weight. And I do that for 3 weeks and I go, what? Like I get on the scales and I'm not gaining or I'm not losing weight. And then in 12 months time, I have the body that I want, right? All that work for a year, like of not seeing results, ends up getting your result over time. But
it's hard. It is hard. It is hard. I'm not gonna say people who feel that way that they shouldn't feel the way. I think it's acknowledging that is how is okay, because that's how you're gonna feel. You just have to overcome that.
Yeah. It's the matter of how bad you want it. I'm going to tell you this story, and I put it in my email, and I've told a few people about this. One day I said to mum, my mum's complaining about wanting to lose weight for a long time. And she's like, oh, Jaryds, I just can't lose weight. And I forget how old I was. I was like probably 16 or 17. And I said, you're right, mum. You're never going to lose weight. You're fat and you're never going to lose weight.
Did you really say that?
I said it to my mum like that.
Oh, no.
Exactly like that. And
I wouldn't have a face. I would like
oh yeah. If anybody who knows my mum knows that she's very, I'd say stern. Very stern. Incredibly, like she would knock my block off. Anyway, I said it with full conviction and I did it on purpose for one reason. I was sick of mum telling me that she wanted to lose weight. And I just had to I was just like, look, mum, you're fat. You're never going to lose weight. And the reason I said this to her was, and she said, what do you mean? Like, how could you say that to your mother? I'm like, mum, look, the reason I know that you're never going to lose weight is because your actions don't show it. And you don't want to lose weight bad enough. You don't want to lose weight bad enough. You eat a packet of corn chips before you go to bed. And everybody in the family knows this and sees this, right? If you wanted to lose weight bad enough, mum, you would do it. That's it. That's all there is to it. And it's the same with anything that happens in my life. My friends say they want to do this or do that. And yeah, talking means nothing. Like the actions show that if they really wanted to do that, like if one of my friends wanted to become a better surfer, I would instantly tell if they wanted to become a better surfer by what they do in the next week. Their actions. So I agree. It's super hard. Like if you want to be a better surfer in a year, it's super hard. Like super, super, super hard. And it's going to take you a long time. That's why I say to people, if you don't want something bad enough, don't waste your time. Don't dabble. Like go all in and be prepared to like go through, all these different obstacles, like in the obstacle is the way. And like, you're going to have troughs of like, oh my God, I don't want to go to training today. Like, and this isn't for me I'm not into like the macho masculine energy of like, you just need to hustle and do 1 million hours in a week. Like, I think that's dumb, but you do need to fully commit if you want to achieve anything. Otherwise, you're going to be half in the door, half out the door. And I see friends do that with work and jobs. Like I'm like,
I will put my hand up and admit that's me. I'm like, I haven't given up my license to practice law yet.
Yeah.
Because it's like having it's like there as a potential thing I could fall back on if this thing doesn't work. I mean, is that wrong?
I think it's smart as well, though. No, it's not wrong. I've still got my plumber's license, like, and it's renewed. Right? Will I ever go back to plumbing? Like, I've thrown out my clothes and stuff like that, but like, no. But like, if the world ends and the internet collapses, yeah, I can go back to it if I need, but I'm still all in.
Mhm.
And come on, Emilia, you're all in. Like, let's face it.
I mean, here I am on a Thursday.
Yeah.
Like...
You're all in. But having that contingency is wise, right? You're a lawyer. Like, why wouldn't you?
All right. Because I was starting to feel bad over here. Keith wants to know, he said, what did your mom say when you woke up later in the hospital?
I didn't wake up. I was adopted after that.
Sabina says,
we've got a great relationship.
Oh, what about the idea of knowing when to quit?
Yeah,
is there a time to quit, to pack it in, to say fail, I'm done? I mean, it doesn't make sense to keep pounding at something that just isn't going to work.
No. And this is why I believe that message that people say is, your follow your passion to profit, and follow your passion in business. I think it can work. I understand why. People tell you why you should follow your passion, because that passion is going to keep you doing it, which is going to help to get you to that result in the long term. Now, it's a double-edged sword. The other side of the sword says, well, if you're so passionate about something and you keep, drumming this thing into the ground, it's going to affect you, and it's going to cause you damage in your life and your financial life and your personal life, because you're overworking and you're spending all your money and putting it into something that's not going to work. There's definitely a time to quit. And I think we need to come back and have a good look at everything and go, all right, I put all this work and effort into it. Is what I'm doing, am I fulfilled? Am I fulfilled in this? And how much confidence do I have in it that it's going to work? And what would I need to put into this to have it to work? And would that amount of time, money, effort, and energy be worth it? Or is it going to be better for me to cut ties with this and do something different? So I don't think it's just one question. Sorry. I think it's a multitude of questions. And it's about being very stoic on where we're at and what it's going to cost us to continue on. And if that cost is going to be worth it to us. And I've had this happen to me with my something I was passionate about. I started a travel blog. It's my first online business. And I put like years of work into this, years and years of work. And it made like very little money. And I was just like, oh, man, there's so much competition. I can't just cut this and leave it and do nothing with it. And eventually I was like, what it's going to cost me to get it to where I want isn't worth me paying that. It's not a worthwhile investment.
Yeah, but I think what you just mentioned there about the travel blog, I think there's a difference between like stopping on certain projects versus quitting overall, right? Because you didn't quit.
Okay.
You say, okay, like there's wisdom in putting your efforts into other things that are still on that same goal, right? So you could have a fail in a project and still not quit, right? So Sabina is asking, oh, well, when do you quit? Like, when do you go back to work, or when do you do something else? I mean, the choices we make don't necessarily mean that we've quit or failed. It just means that there's learning that still needs to happen. I'm looking at the time. I've had you for a whole hour. Before I send you off and let you go, I wanted to give you a chance to talk a little bit about the podcast, because I think it's a great place for people to go. But rather than just have you talk about the podcast, I was hoping that you could maybe mention your favorite episode, like your favorite guest, because mostly you do interviews, and so not ever, just lately, like in the past couple months. Obviously not me, because I have been a guest on your podcast, so I will alleviate.
We haven't released yours yet, have we?
I don't think so. But I will. No, I don't think so. But I will relieve you of the duty of saying that I was your favorite guest and allow you to pick someone else.
I must admit, before we even started this, or was it when we did start this? Like I thoroughly enjoy our talks, and it was fun.
It's really fun.
if I was to pick you, you'd be there.
All right.
And that's without you prompting it. Like, I don't know, like, there's so many good chats here. There's one guy that I really like talking to, and his name's Mike Rhodes, and we go off on tangents, and he's got an ad agency where they spend $50 million a month on ads for clients and stuff, and he's one of the best Google Ads guys in the business. He's written books and all that sort of stuff. He's an Aussie guy, just a super humble, nice man, and I just like chatting to him. He was on my summit earlier on in the year, and yeah, he was really, really fun to chat to. There's one. Everybody on yours is like a content creator or like in content sites, basically, right? So
pretty close.
There's this guy. His name's Joe Paluzzi, and we talk about how to scale a 6 to 7 figure content site. And Joe Paluzzi is like, I didn't know how big he was. Like, I was like, I think this guy's got some good, I think this guy's pretty good. So I reached out to him and I told one of my buddies, I was like, oh, I'm getting Joe Paluzzi on. Like, do you know who he is? And would you ask him any questions? He's like, wow, him. He's like a godfather of content. I was like, whoa, really? And went back on his stuff, and he is like
he is legit.
He's legit. Yeah. And I'm like, whoa, I'm glad that I found out like a little bit after, because
otherwise you would have been nervous.
Like, yeah, of course. I have been nervous for some guests. Let's be honest here. I've been very lucky, been very blessed to come on. But I'd say check out those two in the most recent. Joe Paluzzi, episode 105, and then Mike Rhodes, and everybody else that was on in between those. I love you guys. Like
Well, I put the link to the podcast in the description of this video because I was planning on talking about it. And also I'm pretty sure I linked your YouTube channel as well. So if folks wanted to find out more about you. I am going to wrap this up though, and wanted to say thank you so very much to folks who came in and hung out in the live stream, to Chris and Sabina and Anthony and Keith and Adrian and Karl and Vivek and Jasper and John Zorro, who is also in Australia, in Canberra, who got up early, just like you, to be here live for the stream. I thank you so very much. And thanks you, Jaryd. You'll have to come back here in the future, and we'll talk more about books and about mindset and content sites. Yeah. It'll be really fun.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me. I love it. And thanks everybody for the questions as well. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. All right. We'll see you guys on Wednesday. I think it's just me at the normal time on the normal day and all the normal things. So take care.